Home buyer demands are now driving the push for inner city developments consisting of apartments, such as Sydney's former racetrack, Harold Park.
Flashes, away they go on the Miracle Mile of 86, and Village Kid beat them out down on the inside. Glenn Sanders being restrained and quite famous goes up on the outside. Tashi Luck gets to third. Paleface Bubble will lob the 1-1 here.
Local resident Nicola Atkin is in favour of the 1,250 new apartments being built in her backyard.
This is the Harold Park development. There'll be big apartment blocks along there. There'll be a big green corridor down here, which will be good for us, I think. And there'll be a building immediately at the back of our place, but it should only be at foot height, so it won't impact us at all, we hope. Yeah.
Other local residents are not so happy with the development. State Member for Balmain, Jamie Parker, wants government to better assess the overall impact of large-scale urban developments such as Harold Park.
Well, developments like this can have an impact on culture and neighbourhoods and the vibrancy of a local community, because we want to make sure, for example, the large-scale retail components don't take people away from the high streets. We want to make sure that developments like this aren't just for wealthy people with multi-million-dollar apartments. We want to keep the diversity. And that's one of the reasons why we want to fully understand the impacts of this development, why we're asking for more details on the traffic modelling, but we're also wanting to make sure that the height and bulk and scale doesn't impose on the surrounding neighbourhood.
Some Sydney residents are vocal about the need to build better cities and look at the broader issues surrounding urban development.
Firstly, we want detailed traffic analysis for the area and to include other future developments that will happen in the area, as in One Central Park, Broadway, the development of White Bay, which will be developed in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's the accumulative impacts from those big development sites which our group's very concerned about, and which just haven't been assessed at all by council yet. So
Sydney's inner city will see demand for an approximate 500,000 new housing units by 2036, which is far greater than the demand in other metropolitan areas.
Well, urban renewal is a critical part of any city, but particularly Australian cities. Accommodation of growth that is inevitably going to occur over the next 20, 30, 40 years. And while some people will want to live out on the fringes in greenfield sites, the vast majority, in the last 10 years, I understand in Sydney, 80% of new developments were in infill sites. So urban renewal could be 80% of the future population growth within the City of Sydney.
With opportunities to buy property in inner city areas, the race is on for new residents to secure their place.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of demand. I mean, we found that the apartments were selling quite quickly, so this whole buying process didn't become a case of just sitting back and just sort of taking a while to think about it. You really had to sort of just go, well, am I going to buy this or not, because it's all being snapped up quite quickly by a lot of other people. So, I mean, there definitely is a demand there, and I think that sort of affected how quickly we actually went into buying this place as well. So.
Property experts say that urban rejuvenation and projects like Harold Park are key to solving the problems of limited land supply and high demand for inner city housing.
Because one of the key drivers of housing is the supply issue. Now, whilst there's limited land, there are plenty of infill areas, and we have a lot of the NIMBY problem where people don't want developments or properties redeveloped in the areas that they live in. So there needs to be significant reforms to planning legislation in the cities and to allow redevelopment, reurbanisation and more efficient uses of land.
So has the great Australian dream of a freestanding house now shrunk to an apartment in the inner city?
I think it's a good use of the land. I mean, it would be lovely to have a big park here, but there's a fabulous park just 100 metres down the road. And as I say, we're in the inner city, where you can walk to the city, so for people who live here it's a convenient place to live, rather than living out in the far west of Sydney where you rely on your car. Yeah, I think it would be good.
A house in the middle of our street, a house in the middle of our a crowd, there's always something happening.